Paxton loves to be down here, so I'd like to take him for a ride. He talks about fishing a lot, and I have to say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Here, hold this fishing pole. Let me get the other one ready to go.
Consolidation and privatization of the New England fishing industry has made it nearly impossible for fishers working on a small scale to make a living. Tim Ryder is one of the few jig boat fishermen remaining.
Paxton, we got one. Mackerel. You get seasick right now? It's flat calm.
Oh, is that a blanket and pillow?
Blanket and pillow?
What down? Tuck me in, Dada.
You want to stay fishing?
Yeah,
All right, he wants to stay fishing.
I'll be fine.
He will not have the same opportunity to experience fishing the way I did, and that's the saddest thing about this industry. We're bickering and arguing over microphones, at council meetings or in the press. Who suffers the most is that little kid that might not have a chance to go fishing or pursue his dream. All these things I do with my son are taken away from me, and they don't see that. That's not in their pie charts and their flow charts and their circle graphs and their scientists and their science. They don't give a fuck, but I do.
Do we even need these small coastal fishing communities? Do we even need these small mom and pop operators? I think a lot of people are concerned about this.
A quiet war is raging in the fisheries of the United States. On one side are people with deep roots in coastal fishing communities. On the other are the wealthy owners of industrial fishing operations, who use their political and economic power to dominate the industry. The losers in this battle are small-scale fishers, the fish, and the oceans.
Fish is one of the most highly traded commodities on the planet. The average piece of fish changes hands about 7 times between the moment of capture and the moment it gets to your plate.
The seafood supply chain is long and fragmented with little accountability. The biggest losers in this broken system are the consumers, who have no idea where their fish comes from or often even what it really is.
Seafood labeling in general has been found, unfortunately, to be full of mislabeling.
The system is so tilted in favor of industrial fishing that even the catch that is brought in by small-scale fishers is devalued, and their minimal profits are diminished.
The industrialization of the seafood system is mimicking industrialization of our land-based food system. We're seeing the squeeze and displacement of family fishermen, and we're seeing a collapse of infrastructure, and once that infrastructure is gone, it'll never come back.
This was the foundation, not just of a regional economy, but of a way of life. And it was an emblem of what was best about America, how people that were willing to work hard and come here and struggle could make better lives for their children.
We're looking at a shift in coastal America like we have never seen.
I started in 1983, fishing with my father on a gillnet site on the south end, where I spent much of my childhood. I feel exactly the same as a kid does when he goes out in the lake in a canoe and he's fishing for panfish with a rod and reel. You know, it's that kind of a feeling. There's a school right there.
Jig boat fishing is one of the most sustainable methods of catching fish, and its impact on ocean ecosystems is a fraction of that of its industrial counterparts. but it's quickly becoming a lost art. Darius Kasperzak is one of the few jig fishermen left in Kodiak.
Jig fishing is one of the oldest fishing, if not the oldest fishing in the world. At its essence, it's a line going down the water with a couple of hooks on it. It's very selective. You get over a school, and if it's not the right fish, well, then you can quickly move. You know, a lot of it's just timing the tides right, and the wind. See the fish hitting there. We were underneath the school, and raised it up a little bit. That's what we're after. These are dusky rockfish. Over 95% of the rockfish coming out of Alaska is all trawl caught. That means it's caught with large nets with what they call rock hopper gear that drags on the bottom with these big tires that roll over rocks, sometimes tearing down pinnacles, tearing down coral, catching a lot of rockfish at one swoop, as well as other species.
Bottom trawling, when it's done in its worst form, has a leveling effect and has a tendency to really just sort of strip away everything that's there, the corals and fauna, but also all the fish that are living in that particular area. Generally speaking, a smaller scale operation, well managed, is going to have less collateral damage than a large trawler that is bottom trawling an area.
Well, it looks like the Russians have come to California. A year ago, they invaded Oregon and Washington, and it was quite inevitable at that time that California would be their next area of conquest.
In the 1950s and 60s, when the international borders were only 12 miles out to sea, foreign trawlers operated close to U.S. shores.
This stern trawler here is bringing in its net, which is 4 to 6 times larger than an American net. It's capable of taking 1 million pounds of fish in 3 days, which is the American average catch for 1 year.
The Soviet bloc quickly demolished most of what was there. The U.S. enacted a law in 1976 extending their declared limits of authority out to 200 miles. So we kicked those foreign boats out of U.S. waters. Then instead of the second part of that, which was let the fish rebuild, the U.S. government subsidized the building of ships that copied the fishing power of the Soviet bloc boats. They developed collectively enough fishing power to overwhelm the fish populations.
Overfishing reached a critical level in international waters in the late 80s with the use of a new generation of unimaginably long nets that stretched for miles.
There were 1,000 boats fishing in the Pacific with high seas drift nets, 40,000 miles of netting in the Pacific Ocean every night. They caught millions of birds, dolphins, whales, turtles. They caught everything. That's why by the 90s, somebody like me would feel motivated to be involved in overhauling the whole thing. I got photographs and went to the New York Times. It instantly blew up. It was in newspapers all around the world. The United Nations did finally ban those things. From that, fishing became a conservation issue, not just an allocation issue.
You have a guy like Tim Ryder. Last season, they were running 80 miles to be able to catch their fish in a 30-foot boat and pushing. There were many nights I went home wondering if this guy was coming back. These young guys, you know, they're trying to get the fisheries going and then pushed out and pushed out. He's one of the few guys that I see puts in the extra effort. He just loves it, and I'm glad he's getting a bigger boat.
The boats here are built from scratch, one piece, you know, from a mold all the way to the finished product. The next step, once it's done, is we'll launch the boat, sea trial it, get the kinks worked out, and then go fishing. 2 a.m., we got about a 4.5-hour ride out, 60-ish miles east of here. We're gonna fish all day until we catch a lot of fish or the blue sharks inundate us and carry us away like the other day.
Boats like Tim's cost $200,000 to $300,000, and every trip he takes costs him around $500. On a good day, he might land a few $1,000s worth of fish, but that's before he pays his crew. On a bad day, he might not even cover his expenses.
There's so many times in life where people don't believe in what they're doing or they just go through the motion. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm proud of the fact that we have a minimal footprint where we go. I know if I hit the Powerball for $40 million or $8 billion or whatever it is, I'd be doing the exact same thing I'm doing right now, tomorrow. You gotta figure every time you turn the key of the boat, you know, you've got dockage, you've got fuel, you've got ice, you've got time, you know, time away from your family. All those factors equivalent a pretty high price tag. Blue shark.
Okay, here he comes.
Got him.
I got him. A lot of times we have trouble with 5-6 foot blue sharks, but no, these are 8, 9, 10 footers. So tough to work around that.
Hope you get that. I didn't catch it in time, and that shows you just how strong those creatures are. Fishing is peaks and valleys. I mean, pretty thick skin, kind of like the sharks, I guess.
Before the mid-90s, the whole basis of fishery management was always, how much can we take? Almost every fish population was depleted. Boats were going out of business wholesale. And the only way to deal with that was to essentially reverse a policy and say, this is the bottom, and now we will go to rebuild. That's what was accomplished by that change in the law, which was called the Sustainable Fisheries Act of 1996. Fishery managers were now no longer legally allowed to permit overfishing.
In the 1990s, the need for conservation was finally acknowledged, and new management of fisheries was established. Until then, fishers were all racing to catch the same fish at the same time. To address these issues, a style called catch-share management was established and quickly took hold.
I'm basically a fan of catch shares in a certain configuration, which is the person who fishes owns a share of the allowed catch. They don't own a share of the fish in the ocean, but when the catch limit is set, they own a share of that catch. What I'm not in favor of is you can own a share of the catch and then you can sell that to somebody else or lease that to somebody else. And you sit back in a chair and make money off what somebody else is doing. That's not an improvement on anything.
I mean, for a 36-foot boat that employs 2 to 3 people in the stern and then a couple of guys on shore running fish around, you can't take a 25% hit on your profit margin.
No. You're really either breaking even or losing money.
Businesses like Tim's, he has to pay a landlord, essentially, for those fish. Fishermen don't need landlords. They need to be able to go fishing.
From me and another fisherman that I know, for leasing out the flounders, he's getting roughly, what, $75,000 this year, Pat?
Something like that.
That's pretty good.
Anyone at home that's making money, and a lot of it has nothing to do with the business, sucks.
Catchers were kind of a gamble. Some people did become fantastic stewards of those resources, but unfortunately, a lot of people just became landlords, and they started renting access to go to work to the people who catch fish for a living. It opens the door for deep-pocketed sorts, if you will, to be the next inheritors of the resource.
If a majority of the permits and quota can be bought by only a few companies, then we're looking at a Walmart situation on the ocean.
Why don't you just give us the names of the 5 or 7 guys that are going to own this fishery?
All this market, it is going into private hands. And I think over time, the next logical inheritors of this resource are going to be corporations.
For those who are fed up, who've had enough with policies designed to consolidate, policies designed to privatize, designed to squeeze out our independent fishermen, please join me in walking out. We're going to walk and tell the public and shine a light on what's been happening here. Thank you.
They voted today to allow for 7 entities to control this whole fishery. That type of consolidation, that type of concentration of ownership, it hurts our local economies. It depends on these working waterfronts, and we need to go up the chain. We need to have accountability in this process.
And this isn't working. And there's a select few people at the top that are making all the money, and they're making the rules that benefit themselves.
Privatization came about for halibut. At that point, I was only in my mid-20s. I didn't really see it as a threat. I figured, yeah, we'll make the fishery safer, and they're always going to need guys to catch it, so yeah, maybe it's a good thing. I didn't know. A year or 2 after that, I could not get a job. So I was basically shut out of the halibut fishery. That really was the beginning of the end for the happy days for the small boat fleet in Kodiak. This is basically the waterfront of Kodiak. All the way down there is the boatyard for small boats. And over there is the rest of Cannery Row, where you see the remaining processors, mostly all large corporate entities. Things have really become consolidated.
Taking a natural resource and just handing it over to a select group of owners, it's just unreasonable. There's just going to be very, very unfortunate, hard-wrangled consequences in coastal communities for a long time.
For all the walking distance downtown, this is where everybody came to get their groceries, and now it's shuttered. 3rd largest fishing port in the nation, but it's a food desert downtown. I've seen the effects to the fleet, all the small boats that got shut out of the fishery. When the forces that be came on to privatize the groundfish fishery, this was the 3rd time around, and there was a grassroots awakening and resistance, and I was very much a part of that.
Good afternoon. I'm Darius Kasperzak, a local fisherman homeported out of Kodiak. I'm also president of the Alaska Jig Association, who I'm representing today. We do not support any new management program in the Gulf of Alaska trawl sector which monetizes the fishery resource. The future of our fishing community depends on access to the fishery resource. Please maintain opportunity for the next generation of fishermen. Thank you.
Thank you, Darius.
Fishery management is the responsibility of regional councils across the United States. Some have chosen not to use the catch share system and seek other solutions for conservation management.
This is the port of Port Orford. It's one of very few dolly ports, they call them, where your boats stay on trailers and you're actually lifted in by crane into the open ocean. This is how we do it here, man. It's pretty intense. One of the most unique things about Port Orford is we're restricted in boat size. 40 feet and under, 50 ton and under. Everybody has different opinions and they're independent, of course, but because we have so much in common, what benefits me benefits my brother. The biggest threat we have against the small boat community is kind of multifaceted. The consolidation of quota and the corporate mindset that wants to get the fish for nothing. It doesn't really take into account the needs of a small community. So this is my boat. This is the GoldenEye. If the plan is over time to have 10 big boats on the West Coast that catch 95% of the seafood, you know, I mean, that seems extreme, but it's not out of the question. The community of Port Orford's pretty unique. Population is 1,200. Between the timber industry and fishing, it's what it's all been about around here. This is the furthest west incorporated town in the continental 48. And then you buy a boat and you go further west. Everybody is a hook and line fisherman. We all use the same type of gear. It prevents us all from growing into the other sectors of trawl and towing nets.
My connection to the commercial fishing world basically started when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. My best friend hated it and I loved it, and I've been doing it ever since. The draw for me is the beautiful ocean. I don't have anybody who's my boss. I am my boss. We're fishermen. You know, it's a way of life. You know, most of us will never quit.
The Port Orford fleet is limited to 40 boats, all restricted in their size and equipment they carry, with each boat holding a valuable fishing permit.
In the permit system, the permits are tied to the boat. If you don't have somebody to pass that on to in your family, you have to sell it in order to get the money you need to make it through your golden years.
If permits do leave out of Port Orford, it's less revenue for the whole town. Every facet of business in this town is affected solely by our fishing.
So this was a cool year for my husband, 1998. He caught this 62-pound Chinook salmon on the North Beach. He was pretty happy that day. My husband had a good 30 years with the boat that he had. When we bought the boat, he told me we're going to be rich, you know, and I believed him. He loved every minute of it. He never complained about a day's at work. He passed away on September 23rd of 2015. It happened very fast. So I had to decide about selling the permits because I wasn't going to stay in fishing. I have a very strong tie to my community. I want to see that access stay here. But permits are sold on the open market for as much money as you can get for them. And these permits moved really quickly. I had no problem selling them, and they all went out of the community. And I regret that. But the small boat fixed gear community can't really compete with some of the other fishing communities.
We land between $4 and $5 million worth of seafood here in Port Orford. I mean, it's a big damn deal. If that goes away, it'll just bleed the place dry. So it really has a lot to do with the health and wellness of the community to be able to have access to the fish. We're right here. I mean, you're looking out at some of the richest grounds in the world. Could you imagine not having access to that for a community?
Sandwiches. I got. Kiss me. I love you. Security, security, security. This is the wind dancer departing St. Paul Harbor, standing by on Channel 16.
We are a federally recognized tribe. We're the Aleut community of St. Paul. We live right out in the middle of the Bering Sea, which is one of the richest oceans and seas in the world. It can be a rough place to live. You know, it's not for everybody, but this is our home.
Simeon, the former mayor of St. Paul Island, lives in a community of 400 people solely dependent on fishing. Declining halibut stocks have meant that native fishers have had to reduce their catch in the interests of maintaining the fish population.
I guess right now, after hauling 3 strings, I'm a little frustrated right now. Actually, I'm very frustrated. But we got 4 strings out. We're on our 3rd one here. We got a couple of good signs, like right now, so it may end up being a good day after all, you know? Oh, look at that. Look at that puppy. Gaff him. Yeah. This is the kind of day we want to have right here.
Over the years, a Seattle-based trawl fleet has been operating in the Bering Sea, right in Simeon's backyard. U.S. catch shares of halibut in Alaska are limited to hook and line fishers. So when these trawlers accidentally catch halibut when fishing for other species, they're forced to throw the fish back. By then, they're usually dead. These unintentionally caught fish are known as bycatch.
There should be no way we should be shut down because we live right here. And everybody else that comes out of wherever they come from in America is going to be able to come up here and fish? No, not right.
In the Bering Sea, the bycatch is accounting for almost all of what's available to be taken of the halibut stock. These are industrial boats or distant water boats to fully prosecute their fishery in the most economic way. It's to go out there, set their nets, do long tows, and just throw over the side what they aren't allowed to keep. The cost to them of throwing those halibut over the side is just cost to doing business.
Thanks for coming. So one of the really great things about this bycatch issue is it unites groups because it's really important to everybody that cares about the halibut resource.
Linda Benken, a fisher herself, is the director of the Alaska Longline Fishermen's Association. In the early 90s, she led the fight in which local communities successfully banned trawling in Southeast Alaska.
Well, good stuff in here. Fishermen prowl ocean, leaving waste in wake despite hunger. How's that for a headline?
The fishermen of Southeast Alaska had a long-term concern about trawling, having watched the foreign fleets operate right off our coast and huge decline in the ecosystem and the rockfish and the blackcud and halibut.
So this is the line of their catch per unit effort. So how much they were catching per tow when they were trawling for this species of rockfish called Pacific Ocean perch. And then this is what was happening to the abundance of that fish. That was a big part of our concern.
In the early 90s, a U.S. trawler came through here and took enough rockfish as bycatch to close down one of our local fisheries. Our fishermen came to me and said, if you can do one thing for Southeast Alaska, it'll be, to close this area to trawling.
Wards Cove, Wrangell, Juneau, every community in Southeast passed a resolution in support of the closure and submitted them all to the council. It was a very emotion-packed time. We were pretty inflammatory, and no surprise, people thought we were a little overboard with what we said.
There was huge pushback from National Marine Fisheries Service and from the trawl industry.
I naively at the time was sure that with this much support from communities and small boat fishermen, the council would do the right thing. It took another 5 years before they took action to close trawling.
It was the largest trawl ban in the world at that time. It was a huge grassroots effort started by the fishermen, but it ended up involving everybody from the bottom to the top.
Hey Jackie, how you doing? It's Tim. I'm on my way. I just have a small amount. We didn't have a good trip, a couple boxes. All right, thank you, Jackie. I'll see you in 45. Bye. Only 2 auctions this week, which kind of sums up that there's not a lot of, there's very inconsistent seafood stuff going on. This is the floor to the Portland auction. Our fish gets lost in the shuffle. When we're up, against 100,000 pounds of fish, quality doesn't matter. And I've been told that by the buyers. Why are you gonna pay top dollar for my fish when you can buy something else and just label it whatever?
For over a century, the U.S. has celebrated the efficiency and affordability of an industrial food system that processes and preserves massive amounts of food for consumers. That's included seafood, and today, there's an intricate international supply chain that provides us with cheap fish. But the cost to the oceans, the fish, the small-scale fishers, and the consumer are staggeringly high.
There's more than one good way to treat a fish.
The main problem with the way the seafood supply chain is set up right now is that since it changes hands so many times, every time it changes hands, a little bit of value is lost for the fishermen. Oftentimes, if you're looking at large trawlers, there'll be a big freezer trawler that will catch the fish and freeze it on board. Sometimes, like pollock, for example, are frozen into these giant cubes that are then shipped to China or Malaysia or Thailand, any place where labor is cheap, defrosted, bone filleted, re-frozen a second time, and then sent back to us double frozen. What that does is it breaks down the cell membranes of the fillet so that you get this mushy, poorly textured piece of fish. There's also, though, this nether zone, which is fish that is caught here, frozen, and sent overseas, processed, and comes back to us. That gets registered as an import when actually it was our fish to begin with.
Looking at the machine, you get a lot of fish on the machine moving through. We have already got quite a few. We got Amanda's hooked up right now. Spence is tangled up, so he's not going to catch anything right now. Hurry up back there. It's a beautiful day.
Pretty nice sized pollock. Bleeding out the fish, that way it keeps the flesh nice and clean, makes it a lot higher quality product.
Prior to going out on the Finlander, I was doing work creating a mobile app, trying to connect people with local seafood options, and during that time working on that project, I realized there needed to be more options, and it coincided perfectly with meeting Tim and fishing on the boat.
It's just not typical in the industry where the captain does a lot of the delivering and the captain is the fish cutter too.
It's really sad to think about this area having relied upon their fisheries, and with a lot of the imported seafood, we're kind of losing that. New England Fishmongers, our idea, directly selling fish throughout New England to kind of reestablish what New England seafood really is.
We wanted to have the ability to have a fish on our customer's plate that was swimming around 10 hours ago, which we can do, caught sustainably. The direct market approach, it has its differences. We're gonna walk in with a box of fish off the boat. We're not gonna have suit and tie and fancy delivery schemes. There's a lot of restaurants out there, and this is to your consumer. They're buying Icelandic fish and making a fortune. Now you see Chinese Prosted's haddock on the market. You think we're going to compete with that?
Something to note that the United States controls more ocean than any country on Earth, and yet still 90% of the seafood that we eat is imported. If you peel back the layers of what's actually going on in the imported seafood market, a lot of those low prices have to do with really below standard labor prices and sometimes even slave labor. It really lowers the price. And so fishermen really have a hard time here in this country convincing consumers that it really does cost this much to bring high quality seafood to the marketplace, and it really is worthwhile, both from an ethical point of view and from an environmental point of view, to choose the more expensive American seafood.
We've started really slow, just pairing up with 6 or 7 restaurants. Right now, basically using my sedan here as our means of transportation, which can be difficult. So we're kind of hoping to get a nice refrigerated truck. That way we can start, adding on more clients, because there's a lot of people in the area that want access to all of our fresh fish. Nice, we got lots of pollock today. The motivation was to find a way to make a direct connection from the boat to the people that are going to eat the fish.
20.
And by doing so, trying to eliminate the middleman costs that are associated with the auction, the distributor, the processor, the secondary distributors that bring it to restaurants, and then the grocery store, and then the people that are working at the counter. Trying to make it so that the boat's getting a fair price, not based on international markets, but based on what it takes to have a livelihood.
I don't like to use the word local. I like to use the word intelligently a little more, knowing where that food's coming from, having the relationships with the people it's coming from. That's what our menu reflects. We'll get text messages from Amanda before the boat even comes in that here's what's coming in, what do you want? The quality's definitely there, as well as the freshness.
We've also been able to open up the doors to new areas for delivery. Working with us, they know exactly what they're going to get, that same high-quality fish every single time.
This shot here, the kids are seasick inside the cabin of the boat. We have to take them out in the fresh air, and it's cold, so we bundled them up in sleeping bags and pillows, and we put them on the hatch cover so they stay out of the water that's washing over the deck. You can see from this picture, Nora doesn't look very good. She looks kind of sick. Well, she's seasick. And eventually they got over their seasickness as they got older.
My family's been halibut fishing for a really long time. My mom was pregnant with me, still longlining, and I grew up on longline boats, so that's been a huge part of our income and our way of life is halibut fishing.
There's really nothing else like it as far as really hard manual labor, and a lot of the fish are twice my size, so it is pretty wild when you get those big fish, but it is very gratifying.
1 egg, over easy. Runny yolk on top of the toast. Medium, slightly runny. In other words, you want it perfectly done? Again? Okay. Stop filming. I just busted 2 yolks. Cut. Cut.
My dad is a super jolly guy. He's kind of like Buddha-like almost. He's taught me the trade, and I think that's really unique.
I've been halibut fishing since probably 1978. Was my first year that I seriously went into it.
Bag over!
Anchors away.
The way that we catch halibut is we catch them on what's called long lines. And they're basically a small diameter rope that lays on the bottom, and we have a large hook, and on that hook we have other fish that we use as bait.
Got a lot of bait back.
Hey, help me out.
Oh, so good.
The quality standards for seafood has changed. People demand a higher quality fish. My son Marsh started out as a young boy fishing with me, and I think he had higher standards right from the beginning. He has a new way of treating fish, and I think it's actually better.
So when I started off, you're catching each fish individually, hook and line, and taking care of them, and then just to sell them to a global commodity marketplace. It felt kind of incomplete. You had this beautiful fish, and then it just disappears under this opaque global supply chain. In 2011, I sold some fish to my friend who did a little buying club, and then I went down to the Midwest to meet the people that got my catch. And they were super excited about the quality and where it came from. It was like an aha moment of, whoa, there's a better way where I can sell my fish directly, I can receive a fair price, and people receiving the fish in the Midwest get an incredible product. Hello, 6 salmon chairs. Yeah. What are you looking for? What are you looking to do? Any kind of direct-to-consumer fish business is really difficult in that the amount of capital it takes to get started. Just to have all the services that fishermen need, ice, bait, access to their catch, being able to offload it, being able to take their full loads of fish. All these things are really challenging. Were you here last year for cutting halibut, Ken, or you came after that, right?
I was here. Well, I was here for the second push.
Okay. When you're trying to produce perfect fish, every single step matters. How the fisherman catches the fish, is it bled right away, is it chilled right away, how long at sea do they spend, and then how quickly is that fish filleted and frozen, and how is it frozen is really important too, and then once it's frozen, how cold does it stay on that cold chain? Sitka is an incredible fishing port. Small boat owner-operators. Sitka's fleet's not as much challenged by consolidation, but by kind of stagnant fish prices. In order for us to make it as fishermen, we need to find a marketplace that really values the quality. There's a growing movement of people wanting to sell their catch directly, and there's a consumer base that really supports that. So I think that in the future we'll have more and more fishermen, connecting directly with who eats their fish.
As small boat communities across Alaska work to find solutions, bycatch from industrial trawlers continues to threaten the halibut population.
The halibut fishermen have taken big reductions in their quota. They are conserving, and you really can't have a healthy, sustainable resource unless all sectors, everybody involved is sharing and conserving that resource. The way fisheries are changing, it's the way our country's changing. It's increasingly hard for small businesses to make it. This decision the council's facing, it's really a landmark decision. They are deciding between a fishery that has a 100-year tradition, community-based, and this fish being taken as bycatch, wasted in the industrial Seattle-based fleet. The way they make this decision will really say a lot about what kind of future Alaska small businesses face in the fisheries.
The North Pacific Fishery Management Council is responsible for regulating halibut bycatch across Alaskan fisheries. Today, the council is voting on limits for the industrial trawl fleet.
Hello, Council. My name is John Skeel. I've been a small boat halibut longliner for just about exactly 40 years. And since that time, I've made at least 50% of my yearly income and up to maybe 90% on halibut. So I'd like to request that when you vote, that you vote for the maximum bycatch reduction.
Hello, Council. I have the same voice as the guy who was just up here. That's my dad. We've done all we can here in Southeast to conserve the resource, and with the amount of small halibut caught in the Bering Sea staying at a pretty steady rate, I don't see the halibut resource rebounding.
You're now well aware of the status of the halibut stock and the need for conservation. You've heard from a lot of people The exploitable biomass is near historic low levels. Growth rates have dropped. We're still seeing over 3 million pounds of juvenile halibut killed as bycatch in the Bering Sea. The people dependent on the halibut resource are the ones that are plummeting, and we're calling out to you. Those who are watching us fall are either enjoying the view or are missing the fact that we're about to hit the bottom.
Everybody is living in denial here, and because of big money. I mean, that's the only way I could see this thing not happening, was because of the amount of money that is generated from the fisheries out in the Bering Sea. I hope you guys are hearing me.
While the council did approve a bycatch reduction in the Bering Sea, the new limits are an insult to the many locals who testified. And the total halibut population has since seen a decline, leaving the future of halibut fishing for local communities in jeopardy.
None of this would happen without you guys organizing this. What I want to get across is like, hey, wait a minute, I do this job. Yeah. This is my kid, this is my boat, this is my livelihood. Yeah. We have landlords, we have mob bosses in this industry. There is a big trial coming up, and it's a way for us to get some of these people at the committee level to start looking into changes of the sector system. Should we pay someone that's not fishing to go fishing? Do we allow landlords to take 25 to 50% of our income? At what point did someone intervene and say, what's going on? You know, we're trying to promote fleet diversity and the numbers are going down. And as we privatize and make our fisheries corporate, which is happening under the catch share system, the small businesses that are so unique to our landscape in New England is disintegrating.
I'm responsible for pushing around paper fish all day to support businesses like Tim's. I wish catch shares didn't exist. I wish I didn't have to be a sector manager.
I know how complicated it is. I know how passionate you are about it, and you know it's your family's livelihood. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. We appreciate your time very much.
Hopefully we've driven home the point to them that there's landlords in this fishery making a lot of money. All politics aside, I just want to be able to go fishing and keep the money I make not paying someone collecting a check while he's not fishing. He had some.
Can we pay him to order them? Or?
I think so. I'll ask him this week. Looking nice out, Amanda. There's other similar models out there that aren't doing the right thing, and I want to be like, we are the proof in the pudding. How you doing, bud?
Good.
Good. All right. And if we can do some of this work as a father-son, it takes some of the time I miss with him. I really hope to have him involved.
That's the delivery!
All right, let's bring them their fish. No touching the fish in the restaurant. They're gonna call the restaurant police on us. Anyone else? And some of those other ones are tough ones. Sound it out. Pollock, you got it.
Don't you realize you have fish scales all over?
Yeah, because that's what I do for work. I'm gonna take you on a cod fishing trip this year, a little more easy one.
Can we get one?
Well, we can try. What are we gonna do with them if we catch them?
Just play with them.
Play with them? You think you'll like being played with after coming up from 200 feet of water?
Yeah.
Working my butt off. All right, one messy kid. Okay, that was a really good job.
If you like a nice, quiet little town, this would be a great place to live. But there are problems that come with being a small town and poverty that are unfortunate. And it's not just us, it's in any small town in America. We absolutely in Port Orford have to talk about what our community needs to keep going. Collectively, we all need to stay in fishing so that we can keep the infrastructure we have and the economy that we have for our community. Early on, we understood that we needed local science, that we needed to understand what the fish stocks were here right out our front door. And we took on the issue of marine reserves that was closed to fishing, that was a savings account for our community that essentially serves as a place where the fish can go and those fish can reproduce and we can keep a healthy fishery.
This place is so amazing. This cluster of rocks right out here is Redfish Rocks Marine Reserve. It's the marine reserve that our group of fishermen put forward. We wanted to integrate our experiential knowledge into choosing where it would be. And then we installed a framework where it would be studied.
Here's the marine reserve, marine protected area. And each of these dots is a place where I tagged a fish and released it. I think fundamentally what brought me here were rockfish. They have a long generation time. Some of them live to be over 100 years old. And when they get overfished, like they were back in the 70s, 80s, fishermen here wanted to be proactive. They wanted to get out in front of the issue. They drew the lines, and they presented those boundaries to the state. And that's what led to Redfish Rocks. So this is a little transmitter. Basically was implanted in a fish's abdomen. After tagging, the fish goes into this cage. When we get down to, say, 40, 50 feet, door pops open, fish swims away, and now we're tracking it. We've found a perfect synergy between people who have a career's worth of knowledge about fish and the ocean, and we've connected them with the technology of a research institution like OSU. That kind of negotiation is how you get to where you're trying to go when you're trying to do conservation in a community that's dependent on resources.
Abundant stocks are important. I mean, who wants to fish the last fish?
While communities like Port Orford work to find a balance between fishing and conservation, deceptive labeling has become the latest industry ploy.
We have 74 different species of rockfish off the Oregon coast. It's sold as snapper. If people are willing to accept that their fish is mystery fish, then, you know, who cares anymore about the small guy?
A new report says many fish providers are playing a shell game with suppliers.
Recent investigations and studies have shown mislabeling, sometimes due to error, but often the result of outright fraud, is rampant in the industry.
Seafood labeling in general has been found, unfortunately, to be full of mislabeling, and a lot of it is intentional mislabeling. There have been a number of studies where people just go and they buy fish in fish markets that are said to be something like red snapper, and then they do DNA tests and they find that it's not red snapper. A solution to the fraud in seafood is better enforcement, where somebody who was coming in to buy happened to be running DNA tests. They really wouldn't keep doing that.
Who fishes matters, and you can actually know your fishermen. We operate Port Orford Sustainable Seafood, a community-supported fishery. We catch our fish, ice it down overnight, and lock in the freshness as fast as you can.
Our goals were to pay more for the fish, a fair trade price, to create processing jobs, and to sell Port Orford fish in Port Orford. You couldn't buy local fish in a fishing town, and that felt fundamentally wrong. We've achieved the goal of raising the price on fish so that other buyers have come up to meet our price as well, and then we'll go up again so we can stay in business.
So not only are we trying to make that supply chain better and more reliable, but also the communication, you know, especially from the groups outside of Sitka.
Today we met to plan the next stage of growth for Sitka salmon shares. How do we keep our fish completely traceable while adding more fishermen, delivering more fish? We've gone from 1 to 20 fishermen owners, and we'll continue to keep adding them.
This is where all the fish from Alaska comes directly. This is about 50,000 pounds of fish that we're storing. We keep this at around 20 below.
Transparency is without a doubt a giant hurdle in the seafood supply chain. And as small operations with the right intentions grow in scale, it's an issue that must be addressed.
If you're trying to expand from selling your own fish directly and you want to grow your business, a lot of time you're relying on other entities to process your fish, to ship your fish, to deliver your fish. Companies that may not adhere to your values. At what point do you have enough sales, enough volume to build the infrastructure to do everything yourself?
We'll move about 250,000 pounds of fish this year, and we're working now on how to double and triple that.
For our business model, scaling it works in that we have the whole supply chain. Our fish comes directly from our fishermen owners.
Our shares get packed into 5-pound boxes like this, labeled with the boat name, who caught them, and home delivered.
We process the fish ourselves. We deliver that traceable fish ourselves. We can make sure that what species of fish we sell is the one that is on the name. That's a beautiful thing, and I want to keep that growing and keep building.
This is the new Kodiak municipal crane. This allows harbor users independent access to the waterfront without having to go through a large industrial processor. We've been fighting for this for between 30 and 40 years. There can be no startup operations without having access to the waterfront, which is what this crane provides. Now you can have a little mom and pop processor that's a couple blocks inland.
This is the Kodiak Island Wild Source facility. We hope to serve the small boat fleet here in Kodiak with custom processing.
Really excited to see the new plant. Just got it up and running, right?
Yeah, just a week ago. So this is our roll stock packaging machine. 1,000 pounds an hour we can run through here.
1,000 pounds? Well, this is going to give our small boat fleet the opportunity to custom process fish throughout the course of the year.
I think we'll be hopefully 12 months of the year as long as there's fish to be caught. You guys helped us get to the point that we are today, and we want to be partners in success with you guys.
All the basics are here for sure. A new era,
yeah,
the dawn of a new age.
For Darius Kasperzak and jig fishers like him, the battle for access to the waterfront and fishing quota will ultimately determine whether it's possible to make a living.
We need to capitalize on value and get some of it back to the fishermen. I'm seeing with these efforts, there is a back eddy of success on the way. Terrible El Nino winter. Life is good today, though. Kodiak's always been kind of the place that rewards its barnacles. If you're a barnacle and you can hold on long enough through the bust, eventually there's a boom for those that remain. There's always hope, and I see hope now.
Fresh fish off our boats if you're interested in seafood today.
The fish is down there if you want some. Oh, okay.
Typically scallops, haddock, cod, flounder. It's updated on our card on Facebook. It'll tell you what we have for Friday, and you'll see pictures of me and Ben. Today on New England Fishmongers is pretty crazy. A lot has changed in the business for us. We bought a second truck, a bigger truck, second boat, Finlander 2. We also have several full-time employees now. They believe in what I believe in, and I'm having fun doing what I'm doing.
We got sink, we got cooking, fillet tables.
We've grown pretty well there in a really short time. And there's only so much you can shuffle fish around in a refrigerated van.
There we go. I think we can keep some frozen stuff in here, right?
Having our own cold storage will alleviate that, and having more flexibility to do our work. I'm looking forward to this. This will be nice. We have close to 3,000 followers on Facebook. I never thought it would be at that point, never thought it was possible. We do work in our community. We do everything that you would want a small business to do, and we're gonna keep doing that. The system's not going anywhere. So I have two choices. Make it work for us or to fail. What the difference is making an example for others to follow that defies that system. The battle for me now is not in Washington, D.C. anymore. It's not at council meetings. It's on my boat and in the businesses we work with.
The future of small-scale fishers is in our hands as consumers. The value they bring to coastal communities and their stewardship to the ocean will only remain if we commit to supporting them. And while their service to society is under threat, hope that our fisheries will once again thrive with possibility still exists among those who continue to fight.
I really think it's essential that the small fishermen continue to operate, and I'm hoping that there will be a public groundswell, enough people that care about it.
There's different levels of challenge into what's going to make us work in the small boat fisheries. Providing that quality, traceable market is absolutely key to our survival at this point.
The combination of small-scale fisheries and robust management, that's kind of ideal as far as fully employing people and fully making use of the resource.
The ocean is still capable of producing and sustaining an unbelievable amount of life. And in U.S. waters, we have started to let it do that, and it shows.
The message I would leave to you is the importance of not giving up, the importance of working together, and also the importance of taking care of your corner of the ocean. Thank you so much.
I think the challenge long-term for protecting fish stocks is a more complete understanding of the ecosystem. Recognizing the importance of habitat and managing as if we aren't the only predator that's taking fish out of the sea.
Building direct connections between fishermen and the public, that's great. But if we're not ultimately shifting policy, then it's all for nothing. How can we leverage that network of people who care about where their seafood comes from so that we're protecting community-based fishermen who we believe are poised to be the best stewards of the ocean? That's really ultimately what we need if this is going to be around for the long run.
Speed it up a little. Go that way a little. Other way.
I don't think that I could ever, as a writer, really capture the experience that is Tim.
25% of your income, roughly, to someone that's at home, probably enjoying retirement, watching Wheel of Fortune or Murder, She Wrote. It's bullshit.
Such shrewd points about the way in which the seafood world fits together.
People get fucked in the middle, or screwed in the middle.
He's got a lot of steam.
You better behave on this, because if Miss Monica, your teacher, sees this TV show and sees you misbehaving, Miss Monica's gonna be very upset. This film, JD, that's coming out soon, it better be, anyways, just a little stab at the director there, but.
Nice. I got you.